Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Welcome to our Nemesis Pillow Sunburst Granny Tutorial Part 3, where we are putting the front panel, joining to the back panel, and enclosing a pillow inside with an easy to remove and identify, start and finish enclosure. Super easy, beginners can do it. Don't worry, grab all your things. Let's get started. So our front panel and our back panel are ready to be joined. So you're just going to put pretty sides facing down. And this is also a good time to trim your ends if that is something that's going to bother you. These ones we've gone over, we looped them into our corners and we went over them twice, so they can just be cut off if you'd like. Then you'll take your front panel. Oh, there's a big long one over here too. And put it on top of your back panel or the other way around, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to line up where I did my joins. So I finished the back panel on this corner, and I'm just going to line up the same corner for the top panel. And I'm going to do the same thing I always do, which is join in the corner previous to my last join. So put your hook into the corner of the top panel and put your hook into the corner of the bottom panel. So those are lined up, and you're going to get your yarn. Well, I'm just going to use this. If I wasn't filming, I would use a fuzzy yarn to join, just so it's more textured. But I'm just going to use the plain acrylic to join so you can see my stitches. But whatever yarn you use, it's up to you. Put a loop on your hook, bring it through, slip stitch with both to join, drop your tail, and chain 2. So that counts as a double crochet. And now we're going to be doing our edge like a solid granny square. So one more double crochet into that corner space. And now one into each stitch going along. So into this first double crochet, go into that guy, get your tail in the mix somehow, and go into the back double crochet as well. Go into the back stitch as well. So there's 2 loops, or both loops. The same loop on each panel is on your hook. Lay your tail along the top and do your double crochet. Wrap your yarn and into the next double crochet, 2 loops on your hook, and the next one on the back panel, 2 loops on your hook, and double crochet. So that was 2. Next one is 3. And 10. So that is 10 stitches of joining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So not including the corner, we joined for 10 stitches, the front and back. So now we're just going to go into this front panel, because this is where we're going to join. This is going to be the opening to put in the insert. So now along here, oh, let's count this way actually. Get a stitch marker, and on this side count 10 double crochets back this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is number 10 for the front panel. We're going to do the same for the back panel. It might be, let me close that one for now so it stays on there. It might be easier for you to flip it the other way so you can count them going that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is your stitch, your number 10 on the back panel. So take your stitch marker and hook those two together. So where your stitch marker is where we're going to start doing our joining. Now back along here, you're just going to whip along doing 1 double crochet into each stitch until we get to that stitch marker. So we've worked our way along. There is our join for our 10 stitches, left it open. It's still open, but now we're getting close to where we're going to start joining again. So into my last open double crochet. Now into the next stitch where my stitch marker is, I'm going to make a double crochet into both of those stitches. So I want to make sure my hook is in the same spot as my stitch marker, which it is. So stitch marker out and double crochet to join. Now 1 into each stitch, getting the front and the back on my hook, both strands of the V on both sides. So there's our 10 stitches. Oops, I'll pull it out. Ay, ay, ay. There's our 10 stitches. And now I'm going to put this tail that way and this tail that way, just so I'm working over my tails. Now into the corner, 2 double crochet, so wrap your yarn. 1, 2, just into the corner space, chain 1, rotate your whole work, your whole pillow. These tails, you can kind of let them be. And 2 more double crochets into the same corner space. So that's going to finish our corner. And now all the way along we're going to be doing the same thing, which is 1 double crochet into each pair of double crochets. So that first one is the chain, so remember that one just kind of looks like a weird hole. So go into that weird hole and then find the same stitch on the other side. Always kind of check when you're starting the side. Those are the only stitches that are that can be a tiny bit tricky. And you're going to make sure that you are going into the front stitch and then the empty back stitch each time. And on each side, if you've done your squares the exact same as mine, you will have to go into the same stitch on the back panel, stripy one, 4 times per side. So when it gets a bit towards the center of the side, I'll just get there quick and show you. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and then I'm going to go back into the same stitch that I already went through on the back panel. So that was the first time I did it. Now 1, 1, 1. I just make sure I do 1 per flower. 1, 2, 3, plus 1 more somewhere else in the center. And then your edges and corners line up great. We have to do that because our back panel worked up bigger than our front. So here again, I'm just going to scoot into that same stitch on the back. So that's my second time. And now I just have to do that 2 more times before I get to the end of this side. And you'll do that on every side, and your stitches, the rest of your stitches will line up perfect. If your yarn was thinner, or you didn't use such chunky yarn, or your yarn was more consistent in thickness, your front and back panel will be more consistent in size. So that is just how I get around it. You kind of fudge it as need be. The perfect solution, if you don't want to fudge it, is to do 1 more round on the back panel, like do 2 granny square rows and then this double crochet row separate. Then your stitches will line up perfect, but mine was already getting big, so that's how we winged that one. So keep going like that, 4 stitches into the same stitch on the back panel, 4 times along each side. Before you get to the end of the row, you can also pinch your stitches together so you can see that they're lining up like that, pinchy pinchy. And we'll see how many extra we have. See, I still have to do, I have 2 stitches that need to go into 1. So we'll start that here. And then just keep going to the end. That's my last stitch. And then 2 double crochet into that corner space. 1, 2, eek, chain 1, and slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join. Slip stitch, chain 1, cut your yarn. Pull your hook up and your yarn out. Snug that down. Now this tail we can just work over it, or you can sew it in with a needle. So we've sewn it together. It's together everywhere except for this nice big opening here. The math for your opening is you want at least 2/3 of the width left open. If you make it too small, this will get stretched and torn, the stress point, like when you're putting in and out your pillow. And any less, and it's just too open, it's too much, it's too big. So 2/3-ish of your pillow is for your opening, or whatever you're making, if it's a sewing project or whatever. That's just kind of the math formula. So now we are ready to either keep going with a border or put in your insert and whip stitch it shut. There's other ways of closing your pillow, but I just do the whip stitch because it is the easiest, and I don't actually want the buttons or anything else to be a feature. I just want the pillow to look great. So I want to do a little border with what's left of just the eyelash. So no acrylic, but just the eyelash on top of the very edge, just to give it a little softness, and use this up because why not? So I got my trusty favorite border book, which is this one, Every Which Way Crochet Borders by Edie Ekman, which I love primarily because it's spiral bound. Let me put a yarn ball underneath, there we go. Secondarily, because at the back, oh there we go, look, they have all the borders listed or shown between 2 pages. So whatever look you're going for, because generally you have an idea, you want it to be flat, you want it to be tasseled, you want it to be scalloped. They have all of their borders on 2 pages, so you can kind of look through and be like, oh, like I want like little picots in my head. So I don't really want big, I don't want shells. So you can kind of go through and see which one you like. And the other good thing is each, if you can see it, each row is done in a different color yarn. So you can kind of see what is done for the last one. And I kind of like number 12, just these bumps going along. Number 12 is pretty good, tiny bumps. Or C, I don't know how that one is, but little knobblies going around. So both of those I like. So let's check out 12 and let's check out C. Okay, so there's C. Multiple of 3 plus corners. That's good because it's a granny square. That's where we are. And single crochet. Oh, they have a chart. You know I love my charts. So picot 3 single crochet, picot 3 single crochet. So that's manageable. We could do that. Single crochets with a picot. That's easy peasy. And let's check out 12. So many to choose from. Okay, this one is multiple of 2 plus 1 plus corners. Same thing. Also has a chart. Oh, so this is single crochet, picot, single crochet. Well, that's a bit complicated for us, isn't it? Okay, so we're going back to C. 3 single crochet, picot, 3 single crochet, picot, 3 single crochet, picot, with a picot in the corners. Let's do that. So put your hook into the corner of your work, just past the opening. Put a loop of yarn on your hook. Slip stitch with both to join, and standing single crochet in the first stitch. So we're just going to do that into the corner spot. I'm going to use both of my tails because my yarn is quite thin. You're also welcome to just drop your tail. Actually, let's just drop your tail because your yarn might not be as thin as mine. So into the same corner space, bring your yarn back and single crochet. And single crochet into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do a picot. Picot is a chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I know this is hard to see on my yarn, but you're going to go into these 2 stitches at the bottom. It's awkward. And slip stitch, so bring your yarn through and bring your yarn through, and then 3 more single crochets, and I'm still going over my tail. 1, 2, and 3. So there's our first little knobbly. Cute. And now another picot, so chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch. It kind of looks like to the front of your single crochet. So into that stitch going across, slip stitch to join. And we're just going to keep going across like that. I'm going to change colors so I can show you the picot, like I can show you what I'm doing without using this fuzzy yarn. But I'm going to be using this fuzzy yarn and making little bumps along the top. Eee! So let me show you. I'm just going to join this and single crochet. I'm working over my tail, so there's 1 single crochet, 2, and 3, and now I'm going to do my picot. So 1, 2, 3 chains. Now into this loop and that loop. So they're kind of like the two. They look like they're a bit of like on a hill. So you're going to slip stitch into there. So bring your yarn through, turn your hook, and bring your yarn through, and then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So there's a little picot. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're going into the top of that single crochet, so the top loop and then this loop that goes into your work, going into those two, and you're going to slip stitch. So bring your yarn back, turn your hook, and slip stitch, single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into this loop and that loop. So slip stitch, turn your hook, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and keep going along like that all the way around your work. So I just finished a picot. So single crochet into the next stitch, and now I'm in my corner, so I'm going to single crochet and then picot. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, go into the front loop and the front loop of the single crochet. Sorry, it's so hard to see. Slip stitch, so bring your yarn through, hold your picot, turn your hook, bring that through, single crochet into the space, single crochet into the next space. So keep going like that all the way around. If you want to do the same edge as me, and I'll meet you for the join. So when we get to the corner, I've just finished a picot, so it looks like I can do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. So before the corner, I'm just going to do a picot right here. So chain 3 and go into those front loops. Like that. And then into the corner space, single crochet 1 time. I'm going to picot again. 1, 2, 3. Rotate my work a little bit. Put on my lights. There we go. Finish that picot. So go into that angled strand and the one going into the stitch. Slip stitch through everything. And 1 more single crochet into the corner. Now I'm going to slip stitch to that first real single crochet. So slip stitch, chain 1, cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So now this tail we're going to sew in. So now we've done our edge all the way around with those picots. So it's nice and soft, a bit knobbly, super cute. We have our opening ready. So now we're going to put in our pillow. I have these pillows from my sofa. They have these covers on them already, which was made by a tailor. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to not even take it out of the cover. Just so I don't lose the cover and the pillow in case I want to change them later. Who knows what I do. So I'm going to do that Martha Stewart trick of karate chop and fold. Pinch your top corners. I'll flip this the other way around. There's our opening. The karate chop corners in. And then you kind of let those ones go so they unfold into those top corners, and then poke and poke like that. Make sure these corners at the top are nice and full of pillow. We want the corners to match up and be pushed out because we can't fix that later. Those ones it's now or never for those top corners. And these bottom corners too, you want them to be right into the corner. I'm trying to get my seams a bit lined up, make it even. So fluff this until you're happy with it, until it feels even, like your seams on both sides are similar. So your yarn that you're going to need, general rule of thumb, another sewing trick, is triple the width of where you're going to sew. That's how much yarn. So 1, 2, and 3. I always give myself a little extra because it's just yarn, and better safe than sorry. So that is how much yarn we're going to need. And put it into a needle. Let me use one of my knit picks. Knitter's Pride, sorry. So these Knitter's Pride, I really like them because they're aluminum, so they don't snag on anything, and they have this really neat, I don't know if you can see it, like a fishing nylon tip at the end, so they're easy to thread. I'll put a link in the description box below for the book and the needles, because both of those are super great. And just thread your yarn onto your needle. You don't want it to be the exact same length, but you want it to be easy to work with. So we're going to just join our yarn. I'm going to join into the same stitch of our last stitch, so just in and out. Get my tail out of the way. I'm leaving a tail here. And I'm not going to do a knot. I'm just going to do that same stitch, so the same loop, the same way around, probably 3 times. Just like that. Because we're going to undo this. To wash the cushion, we're going to pick out this yarn. So I want to keep my eyelash out of the mix. Always tricky. And just go 3 times. And if you pull it now, it's stuck. It's not going anywhere. So get your yarn ready on your needle. And these ones here, so you're just going to go into 1 stitch, and so into 1 stitch from the back, and into 1 stitch from the front, like that. And you're pretty much just going to whip stitch it. Where did that tail come from? Oh, yarn scraps. Awesome. Don't need that. Keep your eyelash out of it. So work your way along the pillow, into the stitch, into the front panel. Fold everything back so nothing's getting in your way. Keep your tail out of the way. We'll sort that out later. And you're just going to whip stitch 1, 1, 1, however it works out. Remember, we're going to have to compensate our back panel by a couple. So I'll go into the same one and grab the second stitch on the front. And now you're just going to whip stitch it shut. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now into this one, I'm just going to do about the same thing. 3 stitches all the same way, like 3 whip stitches on top of each other. Like that. 1, 2, and last one. 3. Now that one's stuck, so I'm just going to take my yarn and poke it back down like I was doing before, and I'm just going to scoot it across the center, not really covering it up much, just along inside, and then poking it out anywhere in towards the center. So get that one, and then we're just going to cut that one off. Give it a stretch. So that one's poked in, and you can see if you're looking at your pillow, you can see the difference. These are crochets. These are whip stitches. Oh, you can't see. You can see when you're looking at your pillow, these are stitches. These are whip stitches. So you know this is where your opening is, and you can see this glump 10 stitches in. So if you pick at that, you know it's going to come out and blah, 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 undo it. The other side, we're going to do the same thing. Just thread this on to your needle, and these needles are so easy to thread, it's ridiculous. They're my new fave. So now back in, like we're doing another whip stitch, so I'm going to go in the top and then down into that center right by my cushion and pull it up towards the center. Take my needle off and cut that yarn. Ta-da! You did a pillow. So stretch it all out. And there is your finished pillow. So cute. It's nice and plump. You can see it's like split. The cover's nice, the back's nice. That's the back side. Oh, boop. That's the front side. Our border, our edging is super cute. Just adds a little splash to it. Optional, do what you like. Anyway, that's our pillow. So I hope you really enjoyed. I can't wait to see what colors you picked. Please join our Facebook group if you haven't already, so you can post pictures of your Nemesis pillow. I can't wait to see it. So thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and stay hooked.